Hey friends, it's Kat from the Craft of Wellness. This morning in my morning routine, we were so blessed to be sitting in the egg chair. Been sitting in here curled up in like a little cocoon that we're in for a couple hours now. And I had my tarot cards with me and I was just like shuffling and connecting. I had no agenda. I was just simply kind of asking, what's the message for today? What does the collective need to hear? Because I was going to do my Facebook page post. But the thing is, it was kind of interesting. As I was just shuffling and trying to connect to the spirit within and to kind of just ground, two cards were facing the opposite way in the deck. And they literally like slid themselves out. The first one was the Two of Pentacles. Yeah, right? And then the next was the Queen of Cups. When that happens, I pay attention. Like I really do. So let's start there. I don't know who needs to hear this, but someone needs to hear this. And if you're still here, it's got to be you. So, Two of Pentacles. Look how he's juggling. There's the infinity symbol kind of looping around the coins. It's that constant back and forth, ups and downs, flow and flow. Ebb and flow? No, it's flow and flow. Never really ending. But if you look closer, he's standing on solid ground. And yet behind him, it's rocky, it's like the waves that are like crashing and ships are being tossed around. And sometimes when I look at that card, right, this one right here, I actually start thinking, are the waves happening to him? Or is he the one creating them? It almost looks like he's making the waves. And he's got that little thimble looking hat on, right? Kind of like the full light version. So there's a little touch of humor, I feel, in the chaos that he's creating. And it's like Spirit is saying, you are juggling a lot right now. But is the chaos external? Or is it internal perception? Because that infinity loop, that's choice. That's balance. This will continue as long as you keep juggling it the same way. Yeah, I'll let that land for a second. So as I had said, out flies out the Queen of Cups. Both of these cards were like the opposite direction in the deck as I was shuffling. Now, I think Queen of Cups is fascinating. Look how she's seated on this stone throne right on the edge of the water. And carved into the throne are those little, what would you call them? Like little cherubs kind of faces, like, those angelic, kind of innocent looking little carvings. Emotional innocence. I kind of pick up inner child energy and some sensitivity. And she's not smiling, but she's not angry either. But if you look, she has that look, that tell your nonsense to someone else kind of look. I relate. But look, seriously. And she's holding on to that ornate cup, completely closed. And if you look at all the other cups in the deck, hers is sealed. Interesting, eh? What does that mean? Well, it can mean that not everyone gets access to your emotional world, my friend. Remember, it's cups. She feels everything. She's intuitive, but she is also discerning. Yeah. So I think when Spirit pairs these two together, the juggling and emotional boundaries, ooh, interesting, right? Kind of makes you think. But then there's more, like chapters in a story, because the moon quickly came behind them. I can't explain how it just kind of like all came out together, but the moon, the dogs barking, the domestic, your domesticated part of you and the wild part of you. The crab emerging from the water, like something ancient is rising from, I don't know, the subconscious. Isn't that what water usually kind of represents? And that golden pathway that's straight down the middle, if you guys can see that. Yeah, it's dark, and yeah, it's uncertain, but the path, look at it, my friend, the path is like lit up. Yeah, and the moon is asking, what are you afraid to look at? What illusions are you still entertaining? What anxiety is barking, literally barking at you? Might it not be danger? Right? I think what just happened here with Sir Isaac Newton is a really good example. Started barking probably because a squirrel farted, but really realizing there's no danger. So that's something to be good at. So I think somebody needed to know that. And something else I think we need to acknowledge. You can't bypass the moon. You can walk through it. So we had the moon. A lot of stuff going on there. Then the Fool. I love the white dog, the white rose, the white sun. And this is the start. The innocence, purity, trust. The Fool stands at the edge of the cliff. But he doesn't look terrified, my friend. He looks open. I would even say ready. Open heart, open spirit, open future. The Fool says you don't need to have an entire plan figured out. You just need the next step. Right? And that makes me think it's starting now. Because this is like right in the beginning of the cards. And then, can't make this one up. That's right. The Nine of Pentacles. The Nine of Pentacles. This is like self-made abundance, sovereignty, independence. She stands on her own, in her own garden. She has falcons perched by her confidently, like they belong there with her by her side. You know, the vines, look at them. They're so heavy with fruit. Everything cultivated through patience and love and care. This is the energy of I built this. Not luck, not rescue. This is inner alignment, friends. So, when I take all of these cards, right, what would be the message from Spirit today? Well, you might feel like you're juggling things. You might feel some kind of like emotional waves. And hey friends, tomorrow's the 17th, so February 17th. There's a lot of stuff going on, so you might be feeling it big time. It might feel like you're walking through a lot of uncertainty. But just know, you are being supported, guided, and then asked to stop creating unnecessary waves. Doing it to your friends. You're doing it to yourself, friends. Sorry. Protect your emotional energy. I feel like somebody needed to hear that. Just what I said before about creating unnecessary waves. You know who you are. All right, back to protect your emotional energy. That is what's being asked of you. Walk the lighted, illuminated path. Even if it feels mysterious, do it. Trust it. Take the leap. And remember, the garden you want requires focus and love, not frenzy and chaos. There is so much abundance here, my friends. And it's your independence. Yeah. Your sovereignty, your authenticity. There is a new beginning, for sure, in these. That's the message. And it requires some emotional maturity, I guess, my friends, and maybe a little bit of conscious balance. And I also kind of think, because I do like her, the Queen of Cups, she would just kind of slid out because she is done tolerating emotional chaos. For real. And the Two of Pentacles, he slid on out because the juggling act is ready to evolve, my friend. You're not meant to survive the waves. You're meant to learn how to stand still while they move around you. Great. And I think that's the message. And if this showed up on your feed today and you made it this far, thank you. I have so much love, sending love and light to you. But just know this message was for you, my friend. Have a great day.